Out on my walk this morning with the dog, came upon this poor creature that had been walloped by a car, but he stayed in pretty good condition. So I'm thinking I don't know if, because he's still, has a little bit of movement, but I don't know if he's going to succumb to the elements or if he'll just be able to rest up and go on his business of prowling for mosquitoes and stuff. But if he does succumb, I want to preserve him because he's pretty good condition. One wing got damaged a little bit right up in there, but the rest of it's, I want to honor this guy. I mean, look at these colors. It's hard to replicate that. Look at those wings. But his head is, it's like it almost got detached. Poor thing. BassResinator here. This is the preservation video, and I'm going to do it in this large stand-up heart. And I'm going to have natural things. I've got some dried flowers that I've done, and it's basically a large, gigantic fern. It's this strange-looking palm tree. And somebody had trimmed off some of the fronds. They're not called branches on palm tree. They're called fronds. And look at this. Doesn't that look kind of dragony? Yeah. So I got a couple of those, and then I've got a firebush. Celosia is the plant that I dried, and I've got some Mexican. I'm sitting here trying to grab it. That's why can't talk. Mexican milkweed flowers. They're really pretty. Dried those, and I've got a Turk's cap. These are really pretty. They're related to the hibiscus. And then I got this plant that I don't know what it is. It was growing on a fence, like a weed. So I just pulled off because I thought the foliage looked kind of cool. Anyway, I think they look kind of dragonish to go with this poor guy. Now he was this bright green and blue, and his tail had some pretty colors, or this section. But this is, I don't know, long gone. But I think maybe I could dust this part with some chameleon powder. Maybe the same colorish blue that he was. Maybe it'll stay, maybe it won't. I don't know. But I want to preserve him. Look at his head. I tried to get it back on there. I ended up having to UV glue it, and it's still not quite straight on there. But anyway, this is my attempt to preserve him and do him honor, and I want to make it look like it's a natural setting, but I want it dark in the background, so that I can use he was a green and blue, so I'm going to use blue glitter and this greenish glitter from Tropical Glitz, which is really cool stuff. Anyway, I want to use greens and blues, dark in the background, and then put the foliage on top. I'm going to use that 1 hour curing resin from Promise Epoxy, and I'm going to put it down first with the dark, and then after about 10 minutes I'm going to come put some of this stuff. I know it won't sink too quickly if I let it sit for about 10 minutes. If I wait longer than that, it's just going to be loose because that stuff sets up very fast. And I also want to be able to set the plants, or these the foliage in around there, and then the dragonfly himself. And I want to get him in place so that when I pour the deep pour over the top, they don't go floating around. So, and if it's already set up too much, then I'm going to start UV gluing them down, or UV resining them down. So yeah, So I'm going to be mixing up some resin now. I want to show you, off camera, I just dusted his back end. Look at that color, and it stayed. I hope it doesn't come off when I pour resin. But anyway, success number one. Resin's mixed up. I squirted a little bit of alcohol in there. I want to try and get no bubbles hanging out around that edge. And I've got my dotting tool here to run around it. I don't want this real deep, but I want it black, and there's black. Okay, and I have another mold over here I can pour this into. And when everything, well, when I come back, this will, the other mold will already be cured. Because this is 1 hour stuff. I mean, it's really effective for adding, putting a clear coat on the top of something, or a doming type of effect. But it doesn't work real well with blooms, I found out. Okay, now go around the edge. Start up here at the top of the heart. I hope that got every little stinking bubble that's trying to come up. I don't want them. Okay, I think I'm going to put these pieces in, because they're deep enough. I mean, they're warped, and not warped, that sounds bad. They have depth enough to where they're not gonna sink. And if they sink a little bit, that is okay. You know what? They're not sinking very far at all. That one's going down a little bit. This has got some. I may as well try and get all these thingies in here. Then I'm going to have the dragonfly lighting. That's what I'm going to do. I'll wait till this cures up, and then I'll put the dragonfly hanging out on one of those, and I'll UV him in place. Ha! Yes! And I'm going to make it look like that's going to go right there, because that part of the frond is already going under. So give it some color there, and it's, yeah. Let's see if I can get some. I have some tweezers that, man, I put stuff in and everything sticks. It's like, what? I was hoping that would come over to the side a little bit. There, get down. And then these, oh no. Don't go that way. I want the stem down into that black. Good grief. Stem in the black. That's what I'm wanting. That end. There we go. And now these Turk's caps. sticking up like that, so I'm gonna leave the red part hanging up on that frond and the green down into that resin. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Didn't have to wait for that part of it, but just wait for it to cure up, and that shouldn't take too awfully long with this stuff. This is crazy fast. Crazy fast. But I will wait just a little while, and then I'm going to come back in and put some of this glitter in there. I'll come back to you shortly. I'm back. I'm pushing the edges of the mold, and I can see that it's already starting to develop a skin over the top. So I put in, this is Glitz Jacket. Is that the name of this? Yeah, Mr. Glitz Jacket. And it's a very fine green holographic type powder. So I'm just going to try and sprinkle it. Yeah, that's what I'm wanting. And if some of it sinks, some of it sinks. Okay. Now I want the other side to be the bluish color, but I need to take the, comes in these really big pots, and it's made for automotive paint, but it's super colors and stuff, and they work really good in resin. And so now I'm going to be using Tulum. And I'm just getting a scoop of it, and I put it into this cup. And that's going to go a ways, so better put the lid or get this out of the way. I do not want to bump that and have that everywhere. That would not be good. So this dragonfly was blue and green. So I want to recreate that with this bedazzlement. Yeah, that now, ladies and gents, is what you call honoring a dragonfly. So, everything I'm using, other than the dragonfly, the mold, oh boy, I got some of that stuff up here on the edge. Hey, you can't see it. Up there, you see that? I could either push on it to get it to go down, or do this, because I don't want it going and getting the sides. I want the sides as clear as possible so that we'll be able to enjoy this beautiful dragonfly from the side or from the top. And I'm building it from the bottom up, not like on some other pieces where you have to build the opposite way, putting everything face down. I'm building it this way up so I can see where I'm going. But that, yeah, I'm hoping you enjoy your final resting place. Look at that, how I dusted his tail. Look at that, man. Okay, now there's some of that glittery stuff on the, wouldn't hurt, except that when I go to pour resin later. You know what? I probably ought to use something else other than my finger and get down into the resin. That would not be good. I would blow in there, but I'd be afraid and get a face full of stuff. No. Okay, so I'm just going to sit and let that completely cure, and then I'm going to come back in with the deep pour. And when I do that, I'll show you the other pieces that I poured. Okay. Well, that cured up, and I went ahead and put the dragonfly on this frond, and I put a little bit of UV glue right here and on one of his legs and on his head, because those are all were touching the little leaflets off of this frond. So now I'm going to be putting in deep pour, and I mixed up, trying to see how much that is, close to 20 ounces. Don't know how much it's going to hold, but I told you with the leftover black that I was going to show you what else I made. I used this mold that I got from Julie Art 84 on Etsy. It's a really nice mold, but look at this. I used that new color that I have from Eye Candy Pigments. It's called Redrum, and somebody told me, you know, Redrum backwards is murder. Well, this might look like blood. Look at the color. It goes from black to red. Isn't that something else? Super intensive ultra shift. It's their newest color that they've got out. But I definitely wanted to do something with that color. I wanted to try it out because I tried it in a couple other things, but I was never able to do it with a black backing because I put it in as part of another project. Anyway, I'm talking too much and I'm not getting to here. When I put that metal flake and glitter in here, some of it, I don't know if it was when I was breathing, some of it got loose and stuff, but it went up on the wall. So I used my big wipe, the orange kind. Man, they smell good. They clean everything. And I got around wherever I could where I wasn't going to do damage. Like right over here, I left it because if I would have tried to get in there, I was going to bump those flowers. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I cleaned up most of the other. Hopefully, the rest of this that's here is down. Because once I start pouring, and this mixing container is very, there's going to be a noise. I'm going to use my torch to pop a couple bubbles there on the top. This is my deep pour from Let's Resin. But this, you'll see what I mean. It's super flimsy. So having this much resin could be disastrous. I'm going to try and go right over this frond. And as long as I pour fast enough, not too fast, but fast enough, it won't go down the side. But I don't want to go too fast because I'll put a bunch of bubbles into this, and I don't want bubbles. Now this is supposed to be good for up to 4 inches. I wonder if his wings are even going to be seen. I thought about possibly dusting them with some powder. No, I'm going to need more. Probably that much again. And hopefully it'll release the bubbles. Okay, well, back to mixing. mixed it up, poured it in, and there was a little bit of that glitter floating along the top. And what I was doing was using a stick and just touching it. And if it sank, awesome. If it didn't, I would just bring it back over to a Kleenex that I have here. A little glitter is not going to hurt, but I'd like to have it as clear as possible. And that is looking absolutely clear. And that was a bubble over here. Okay, so now let me use a torch. Bubble no more. Oh, there's a bubble. Don't know where that one came from, but got to go away. Okay, this is a 2-inch thick mold, and I'm pretty close to the top. A little bubble hanging on the side there. I don't like those because then it'll leave a little air pocket. So if this is clear, you're going to be able to see the different levels of the plants, and then the flowers above that. And these flowers, this Mexican milkweed is sticking up about 3/4 of an inch. This palm frond is sticking up about 1.5 inches. And then the dragonfly is sitting on top of that. I sure hope it keeps all of these colors. It's really, 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 really pretty. And, you know, now that I'm sitting here looking at it, I can actually see the wings. They're very transparent, but I can see them because they've got a little yellowish, tannish outline around them. So cool. Felt really sorry for him when I heard the thump, and then he landed right in front of me. And I was like, well, better take care of him. And why not use him for a piece? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna clean up my mixing bowl, and I'm gonna put a food net over the top of this so it doesn't attract. Yeah, I say that, and then a bubble just came up. Now I'm sure that this resin is thin enough that the bubbles will release, but if there's a bubble there, I might as well take care of it, right? So, well, if I do that, I'm going to knock over my torch. So let me just get my torch out of the way. And now it is protected. Okay, I'll come back in a day or two. Came in this morning and some bubbles had come up. And these right here are going to be really easy. They're just, it's still a little bit tacky, which is nice. These came up from those plants, and this one from right below the dragonfly itself. But this one here, you won't be able to see it until after it's done. That plant down there just, it looks really cool. There's a whole string of little bubbles. All the rest are just single bubbles on the top. The plant right here, that leaflet of that frond popped up a little bit. So I need to put some more resin over the top. But I'm going to do it while it's still tacky, so it doesn't leave any marks on the side, or not too much of a mark. Yeah, so these, I put resin on, and then I can just touch it with this toothpick and make sure that there's no little bubbles hanging out in there. So I'm getting the resin ready now. Okay, I have about 2 ounces of resin mixed up. So I will pour it on. Let these air bubbles that I popped with my long-handled lighter, but they left their mark. So now I'm trying to remove that mark. You know, I don't want to have moon-faced art piece here, which is a mausoleum for this beautiful creature. I don't know if you've ever watched dragonflies. They're super fascinating. They're the fastest flying insect, but they hunt in packs, and they eat mosquitoes and other creatures we don't want biting on us. So that took care of most of the bubbles right there. So there are a couple spots where I'll need to fix. This is the quick drying or quick curing resin here. Wow, that just took away all imperfections except for just a couple bubble spots. You just push on them to release the bubble, and then that spot is no longer there. It's kind of cool the way that works. Just the way bubbles try hiding out on the sides of molds, they do that on those little pockets of air where bubbles were. I learned this when I was doing some roses. Man, roses, if you don't get them dipped into the resin, I don't know where they hold all that air, but just tons of bubbles will erupt. Same thing with sunflowers. Get them prepped ahead of time, and they are just beautiful. But if you don't dip them and let them sit for a bit, come on now. And some of that glitter floated up right there. I can't do anything about that now. But it adds a prettiness effect. Almost like moisture in the air, like possibly a raindrop or something hitting. Now I do notice, now that it's all clear, there's a bubble every once in a while down in those flowers and over here on the bottom of those leaflets. That's probably where some of these bubbles were coming from. And when I was pouring in that clear, if I weren't so worried about getting the that mixing container, because it was so flimsy, if it wouldn't have been, I probably would have gone down and pushed a little bit on those. And gotten most of those bubbles out, but that's okay. It makes it almost look like it was in the morning and there's some dew still hanging on the plants. Sometimes bubbles will ruin a feature. Sometimes they add character. I know we always search for that perfect pour where there's not a bubble anywhere. But sometimes we just need to realize resin does its own thing. There's that one right there that's being obstinate. And what this resin that I just poured on will do is it'll go in and meld with that and hopefully cause a clear seamless piece. Now right now I'm still seeing little halos of those bubbles. Hopefully this resin will go down in there and go, "You are mine. Let's become one with this universe of resin." How's that for a creepy voice, huh? Had a bunch of friends, resin artists, participate in this horror category collaboration. I don't do horror, but I can make a horrible voice. Growl at you, I will. Yes. I don't know how I missed that one. But I'll just keep looking and I will find, man, there's a bunch of air in that. I'll find them as I look around. And I got to do it somewhat on the quick side because the this is a fast curing resin. I don't want to get stuck with this toothpick down in there. That would be most unfortunate. Poor unfortunate souls. Come on out, you little air pocket. I want to let you breathe. So come on up. Well, that's already starting to thicken. Like I said, oh, that's that one with those bubbles going all the way down. Okay, once over with this, get all those bubbles I was just eradicating. Okay, I'll just sit and wait now. Come back to you when it's all done. This is all cured up. And as I was looking through, you can what is that on my finger? You can actually see those little bubbles right there. The ones that were coming up from that plant. Okay, let me loosen this. Fold this back. together in just a second. But yeah, we have a pretty piece. I will take pictures of this and show you what it looks like. Yep. Thank you, subscribers, and all of those who are just following along. You know, you ought to subscribe, be part of what's going on here. Let me know what you think. This is nice. I'm looking at it from the side. Yeah, I can see those. Okay, just a second. There, you can see those little bubbles coming up. So let's see what this dragonfly looks like. And there you can see that dragonfly in there. So yeah, really pretty. Sorry about the glare of the lights. I'll get some stills for you after a bit.